Peace to the saints. Today's lecture will be absolutely critical, and today we give law. I welcome all of you to send in your thoughts, questions, comments via Cash App, PayPal, Superchat so that you can be a part of this. For we're establishing culture within relationships for the entire globe. And these will be critically important rules for your lady to follow in her conduct and particularly in how she treats you. Oh, we're going to get into it.
Okay, first we're going to start. We do have Ola sent a Cash App yesterday. He just said, peace to the saints, tuition for prosperity you've taught me. So he sent that,
Peace to the
not
saints.
for live or anything. We have Vito said, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
And we have Ramsey just sent a PayPal. He said, peace to the saints. Very unfortunate. I have a conflict scheduled at this time. We'll watch this later. These videos make tangible differences in our lives, especially for those who pay attention and act. Thanks again.
Peace to the saints. That's a knowledgeable gentleman, I can tell.
And we have Mr. Cambry sent tuition on Super Chat, and we have Junior sent a Super Chat as well. He said, Shorty flew me out to the DMV. We went to an island party. I'm not a party guy, but I went. At this party, apparently you're free to dance however and whoever, not something she told me prior. My surprise is here throwing back on some other men.
Ain't that a shame?
It's a shame.
Ooh-wee. That might be a topic in itself. In fact, this may be a two-part of a series. One thing I can assure you is that the members will have access not only to this video, but also to these written rules for their ladies. And I encourage you, lady saints who are watching and gentlemen who are watching, to review this and have a discussion about it. For you don't want to tell the woman, hey, this is what you're following. You want to read through and say, what do you think of this? How do you believe this rule should be implemented? What do you disagree with? And make sure that she understands the why. And this is not only for your women. When you're dealing with your children, they must understand the why. For there is the letter of the law and there is the spirit of the law. And if they don't understand the spirit of the law, they will be in error. And what's worse, they'll make excuses as to why they broke the law. You dig?
Okay, we also have Matthew Stevenson said, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
We have Ivan said, peace to the saints, ready to listen and learn.
We got a lot of ism today.
And we have Ricardo said, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. Point one, the woman should make the bed in the morning. Yes, there are a number of chores that are, or rather responsibilities that are on the woman's side of the house, and making the bed is one such role. You must understand, saints, that a part of her executing on making the bed means you have to be out of the bed. So understand that anytime you look at the female and the male and we're differentiating roles, often one role might have some kind of relation to the execution of the role on the other side of the house. So the female makes the bed. The male should be out of the bed, which means as soon as your alarm clock went off or the sun rose, whatever the trigger was, you should have woke up and got into hustle mania. You dig? And you should be getting to work. And her first piece of work is to make that bed. Cleanliness is absolutely critical. And you being ambitious is important for this system staying up. Consider that all I teach you within the ism is an integrated system. She can't make the bed if you're still in the bed being lazy. She won't respect you unless you have hustle. I didn't say money. I just said hustle and ambition. For all of these things work together as meaningful parts. Secondly, a female should not be recklessly eyeballing. Oh, a P will tell you, hey, baby, you peeping, but you ain't speaking, which is to say when she's looking around at other men, she's shopping. She should just be looking at you. If you notice your lady recklessly eyeballing, that is a bad sign, a clear indicator that her nature is one of wondering who's looking at her and her trying to see what's out there. It's not a good sign. Usually a woman like that, that's a part of her nature. You really can't train that out of her, but it would be fair to just give her a heads up and let her know what is appropriate. So ladies, you should be focusing on your man with your eye contact. For the eye contact is a very dangerous thing. I've even seen situations wherein a mere look, a gaze could set up a little rendezvous in the bathroom between a girl and a girl, or between a girl and a guy. They sneak off.
Okay, we have Desmond Bracken said, peace to the saints, first tuition, you dig.
Peace to the saints. Always happy to hear about a man doing something different. For when you do things differently, that is how you remove vice from yourself. That is how you find new good outcomes.
We have Ivan Rojas sent tuition on Cash App. He just said paying tuition.
And for the saint who spoke about going to that island with his lady and then she went off dancing in very inappropriate ways with other males, you see, now consider if that's appropriate, wherein one of the rules I just identified says no reckless eyeballing. If the woman shouldn't even be laying her eyes upon other men, undoubtedly she shouldn't be coming into physical contact. So you should be able to make meaningful extrapolations from these basic rules.
Okay, we have Cameron said peace to the saints, tuition.
Peace of the saints.
We have Jody Alexander said peace to the saints. Thank you for all the knowledge, Marquette.
Peace of the saints. It's truly a pleasure.
We have Ricky Webster said passes the collection plate. Peace to the saints and props due, Marquette.
Peace of the saints. Good to see you again, Ricky. The saint is consistent. That's why I know his name. Further, a woman should not discuss sex or sexual topics with anyone. Some of you may be surprised. Some women may be watching this. I can't discuss sex. That's damn near the only thing I talk about. Well, yes, I understand. You living out your life by a holosophy. Of course, sex is one of your major topics because you are living lost without guidance. Sex should not be discussed because, number one, when you're discussing it with other women, you're putting your business out there, generally about your personal, intimate relationship. You may make the error of making that woman interested in your man because you're talking about what you guys do, what his preferences are, what his prowess is. Bad idea. Now, if you're talking about sex in the presence of men, you may be stimulating those men. He's sitting there listening like, did she say she take the hot dog and the balls at the same time? I got to see what that's talking about. It's a bad idea. Speaks very poorly of you as a woman, puts your business out there. It is a horrible thing that only invites bad outcomes. Do not discuss sex with anyone. And if it must be discussed, which really it shouldn't even be a topic of conversation, it's something you do not talk about, you might consider discussing it with your man or, if necessary, a physician, namely a gynecologist.
We have Sherlock Stoner sent a Cash App. He said, peace to the saints. Listening to this with a woman right now. Go in, saint.
Saint, I appreciate that. And I'm going in. And if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please do share. If she has any objections, let us know, because this is not for us to just give law and the woman say, I'm out. These things need to be sensible and they need to understand the root or the seed of the idea. For this is not for men to be domineering, but instead this is for men to provide a baseline of thinking and behavior that will allow us to get along in peace and prosperity, hopefully for all of our time.
And I do want to acknowledge we have Anthony Tibbs bought the man and woman denim hat, and that the hat that you're wearing, is that available yet for people?
Oh, yeah, this is actually, yes, this is a brand new one. And this literally went live 10 minutes ago. So it's now available for your purchase. What you'll know about me, all about quality. So I don't even release it to the public unless I see it and I'm like, okay, this is legit. I like it myself. So this one is now available to the public. You can get it at mdblabel.com and you'll find the link in the description below.
And then we have Roberick, who just joined Patreon.
Yes, peace to Roberick. Number 2. Now, forgive me for the numbering, might sound a little bit squirrely, but if you'll remember, you will get a list of this. Do not discuss our relationship with anyone. And anyone means anyone. Number 1, they're not in the relationship. It's a relationship between two individuals. Often when you invite outsiders inside of your relationship, it causes problems because they have incomplete knowledge. They're only getting half of the story. And often you invite them into the relationship to discuss negativity and problems. Rarely do you invite them into the relationship to tell of all the beautiful things that are going on. And even that you should be cautious about, because many people tend to go toward jealousy, because there are a few with the saintly nature. When you discuss your relationship with outsiders, you're now bringing others into your relationship, which creates more hands in the pot. You never send 2 people to do a job that's better done by one person. Causes issues. For example, when you tell your girlfriends negative things about your man, now they might be saying negative things about him. Do you really want that? If you respect him, do you want them dragging him through the dirt? Further, when a woman tells her girlfriends negative things about her man, when she's out in the public, say they're out at a restaurant or a bar or a nightlife environment, and another guy comes to approach your girlfriend. Well, if she hadn't told them any negative things about you, her girlfriend might be willing to step up and say, hey, she has a man. They might do a little bit of cock blocking in your favor. But if she's been telling them negative story after negative story about you, now when that fellow comes up and tries to approach her, they're rooting for him. They're trying to get you out the way. So they're encouraging evil. Do not discuss your relationship with anyone outside of the relationship as a woman. It is inappropriate.
Okay, we have Jay said, peace to the saints, paying dues.
Peace of the saints.
We have Desmond, who sent his first tuition earlier, is already back with tuition number 2.
Let's get it.
He said, I have Renaissance, who was mismanaged. Is it worth it to entertain her, being she is now flying solo and has issues with paying the P?
Ooh, boy. Often when you catch a female, by nature of you catching her from another P, we already know she was mismanaged and somebody was mispimping. That's a given. Because 9 out of 9, if he was doing it by the book, she'd still be with him. But being that she has now become an unruly renegade, not following the rules of the game, does that mean that you should play the game any differently? Absolutely not. If you've been in the game, coaching the game, you know how the game goes. So don't ever get off the good foot and don't ever let the pimp hand get weak. She just seems like she needs a little bit of firm leadership. That's all. So make her pay a P, because at the end of the day, if she ain't paying, you ain't pimping. You dig? Tell her I don't respect her hoeing. Carrying on.
We have Rienzi said, peace to the saints. Debate with the feminists was beautiful. Respectful intellectual discourse is a lost art in this strange society.
It is very much so a lost art. And we find that even those intellectuals who would purport to be a feminist, they don't appear very intellectual when they're speaking to a man. Now, do they? Not even that I'm a greater intellectual power than her, which the experience suggested so. But even if I wasn't, just engaging her as a man, you see all of that education start to fall away, and all of her supposed civility falls away, and she reduces herself to name calling, to being evasive, and all of these things. It's really sad. And that is just a clear indication of not being raised right or being victim of the greater culture, which is why we are building culture in a fight against backwardness.
Okay, we have Vapor Saint sent tuition via Cash App. He said, your woman should assault you at any level. I'm assuming that means shouldn't assault you.
That is correct. And she should not ever put her hands on you in a negative way. And she should not even fix her mouth to say something negative, which will bring me to another point that I'll go ahead and skip to, which is communication. On the side of communication, number one, and this is important. Some of these things are important for male and female, but we're specifically talking about the woman right now. And if it should be that we need to go through rules for men and how they engage women, we can do that. But one thing you've probably experienced with the female is that they often speak while they're thinking. It's really annoying to listen to, meaning they're going through the thought process, not in their head, but out loud, out of their mouth, which is why women are not great leaders, because they're giving you mixed signals. They're still evaluating an idea, but they're saying it out loud, not realizing that the speech is communication to the outside world. So ladies, my first recommendation to you is do not speak while thinking. First, settle on a decision and then speak, so that your words are valued and your words are fewer and your words are meaningful. Further, you should always ask yourself, ladies, are my words productive? Meaning, are they positive and good, adding something to my man or this situation? Because often you speak gossip, negativity, and jealousy, evil, and we have to sometimes guide you back to the straight path. Further, in this one, you've probably experienced an awful lot in this society of androgyny, this society where people don't know if they're male or female, or if it's up, down, left, or right. Do not be vulgar or masculine in your communication. An example of this, if you're a female and you're calling people bro, you's a dumb bitch. Excuse me. Actually, that was not quite right.
Bro, bruh, dude, all of them.
Yeah, it's vile.
It's disgusting.
If you're a female talking like a male, you have clear mental issues. And further, if you're a woman saying things like, I have big dick energy, you're a goddamn fool, because that doesn't appeal to any man on earth. And it's a clear indication that you're so lost mentally that you would like to emulate and be like the male. And the only male who wants to date a woman who wants to be a male would be a homosexual fella.
Okay, we have Markel Grant said, peace to the saints. I am present. Notebook ready.
Peace to the saints.
And we have a baller alert.
Baller alert.
Cash App.
Let's go.
From Jason Paul, he said, peace OG. This topic is critical.
Indeed it is. And shout out to the saint. I have the good fortune of speaking with him in consultation, so I know his face and name. Very enterprising young man. Carrying on. This is a critical one. Do not interrupt peace. As a woman, you should be the coolness of your man's eyes, bringing him peace, enhancing peace. Now, mind you, the subtext of this is that as a man, you should be a man of peace. You can't rely on someone else to give you something you don't have. I promise you, as a male, there are no handouts. If you want to be peaceful, that must be by your own doing. If you want to be wealthy, that must be by your own making. What I'm telling the woman is not to be the seed for a man's peace, but rather do not interrupt peace. Where peace exists, you should not remove it. So if you have something on your mind that's bothering you and your man appears to be in a state of peace, shut up. Timing is critical. Sometimes it's not the right time to have that conversation. You might say, well, Marquette, when do we discuss problems? Well, it is in our tradition when you sit down to have a meal, you always say, what is one thing you are thankful for? That is a time to share something that you're thankful for. And during that meal, that may be a time to address an issue for you. Have your man's attention, because while he is eating, that is a good time for him to listen. I like to, watch a documentary or something while I'm eating. But if not, that's a great time for that conversation. Or, and this might sound counterintuitive, when there are other problems going on, this is a good time, once he's put a pin in one of them, to say, hey, I know you just finished up with this thing. And, while we're going through challenges in problem solving, here's another one we need to deal with. You don't have to address it right now. I want to put it on your radar. But don't you ever interrupt a happy moment or interrupt peace, because it is not always the case that life tastes sweet. So don't you sour it. That is not your job. Your job is actually the complete opposite.
Okay, we have Rich sent $20. He said, it was sad. She was calling you a misogynist, homophobic, for spitting factual data.
It was truly sad. And what's more is, as an intellectual, you would think one would have a command of language, and at the very least, they can use proper diction. And in her case, she used a medical diagnosis, which she is not qualified to make. And it shows how disingenuous these persons are. The clear reality is that most of them are the ones with mental illness, yet they would accuse others. How mentally ill are you when you can't look in the mirror and tell what gender you are? That would be like me looking in the mirror and telling you I'm a white woman named Sarah. Further, what was that other piece he said? Oh, yes, she called me a misogynist, which would indicate that she's never picked up a dictionary. And what you'll find with these types is that they often they have a bad relationship with the truth and a great relationship with dishonesty. And for that, she says, oh, well, even though you just identified the definition of misogyny and the way I use the word is not correct, well, that's not the way people use it in the society. And I'm thinking, well, first off, love, you're an academic. You are supposed to be above those in the society. You are supposed to be a knowledge giver, yet you revert to using what is common, what is low. This is the nature of the modern woman and the gender feminist.
Okay, we have Michael sent $20. He said, peace to the saints, tuition.
Peace to the saints.
We have Tari said, also, men should not gossip to their mothers about his relationship.
Indeed. Men shouldn't gossip in general. And further, men should not speak poorly of their spouse, both the male and the female. That is very tacky, and it only reflects poorly on you, for birds of a feather flock together. And if you've chosen to flock with this woman, why are you denigrating her? That's a great reminder for all of us. So I really appreciate that, Tari.
We have Ricky Webster's back with a second super chat. He said, Marquette, what's your take on what would come with dating a 43-year-old woman with no kids and never married?
If she is not but ugly, then surely there's something wrong with her, or else some other man would have swooped her up. She appears to be a woman you found on the discount aisle, and you're looking at her like, this t-shirt looks perfectly good. Why is it discounted so much? Got to be something wrong with it. Errors in the stitching, something wrong with it. Because it's very difficult to be a good-looking woman and to have no man pursue you and retain you. So your chief question should be, well, why didn't anyone else want you? Because let's be real here, men are thirsty, female crazed animals. So much that when I reject women, they can't even comprehend it. I reject women left and right, and they just can't comprehend being rejected because it happens so infrequently. Now, this could be a perfectly good woman. I must concede that, but it is improbable, meaning unlikely. She would be a part of the 1% of females. Thank you for that sincere question. Another aspect of not interrupting peace is that as a female, you should refrain from questioning simple directions. The name of the game is Simon Says, and you're not Simon. You're the one following Simon. Get that part right. That is not to dominate you. That is to allow us to follow one leader, because corporations don't have two CEOs. They have one CEO, and the natural leader is the male. If you as a female find that you can't follow the male that you chose to be in a relationship with, you must seek a better leader, or you must introspect, look within and say, why am I so unruly? It may be that your parents failed to raise you with the proper guidance and standards. That is why we're sharing this ism around the world, so that there's a standard we can all come upon in agreement.
Kate Vapor Saint sent another cash app. He corrected himself. He said she shouldn't physically harm you at any level.
Yes, I mean that shouldn't even cross her mind. If it does cross her mind, she done lost her mind.
She's crazy.
Indeed, she is. And if you find that you have to raise your hand to that female, you too have lost your mind, unless you was a real bona fide, genuine pimp, and it's absolutely necessary. But even a P doesn't really need to raise his hand to a female, because you should be able to pimp slap her mind with your words. You dig? And once a woman is bought into you, it is the psychology that you manipulate. You need not pimp from the hip. You dig?
Okay, we have Cyrus sent $10. He said, peace to the saints. Shout out to Marquette. I'll use these rules to calibrate, not replace my own standards. And I appreciate you sharing your perspective in this matter.
Peace of the saints.
Oh, go ahead. We
please.
have Marquel back with the second super chat. He said, hey, Marquette, love the conference 2 footage. Really practical stuff. Will there be any footage of the NFT part of the conference? Sounds great.
He's referring to the upcoming conference. I never guarantee that the conference will be recorded or that the footage will be shared. So we shall see.
But people get your conference 2 footage. At least one person every live talks about how great that footage was and has helped them.
That's a very good point, Bridget. I appreciate you sharing that. And both the conference 1 and 2 footage is phenomenal. We've never had a person dissatisfied with it. Everyone is spoken of not only how it helps them on the entrepreneurial side, but also on the personal side, on the relationship side. So it is very much so something that'll be helpful to you. And if we're able to share the footage from the upcoming conference, we may do so, but there are no guarantees. And yes, that conference is sold out. So please know that. Back to the point of refrain from questioning simple directions. I would like to give you an anecdote, because some of the ladies may be saying, well, what does he mean? I'm not a robot. I have the right to think. And indeed, you do have the right to think. And I encourage thinking intelligently. But I do want you to know there's a difference between having an opinion and adding weight to a man's experience on the planet Earth. When I say adding weight, meaning you slow things down, you become an anchor to progress, because simple, easy to do things, you're questioning him. You think it's 21 questions. You think you're the host in Jeopardy. You got a question for everything. When in reality, sometimes you should just be silent and follow the leader. You did. Here's a quick example. There was a time I was at a resort, and the resort charges $30 a day for parking, which is quite standard in this part of the world. The young lady who had joined for dinner was leaving, and I said, hey, so that you don't have to pay for parking, I'm a VIP here. I have a card I can slide to make sure that your parking is free. She says, all right. I said, okay, I'll ride with you out of the parking garage, and then I'll get out and go back into the resort. So we get into her car, which was not clean, which is happens every now and then. But side note, ladies, you should always pride yourself on your cleanliness, and gentlemen as well. But there is a presumption that the female should be at a level cleaner than the male, because the external environment and how she cares for it may be a reflection of how she cares for her internal environment, her body. And undoubtedly, the female body is more complex than the male body, and certainly should be regarded with lots of cleaning, appropriate cleaning. Now, so we're going through this exit of the parking garage, and then she takes her ticket that she received when she came in, she puts it into the meter, and the meter says your parking fee is $46. And then I say, here, put this in that same slot. She says, oh no, I don't think that's the right slot because it says credit card only. And then I say, okay, I hear you, put this in that slot. And she says, I don't think it's going to work. It says credit, this is for credit cards. I say, all right, I hear you, put this in that slot. And then she's like, Marquette, this is for credit cards. This is a credit card slot. It's a credit card reader. I was like, okay, put this in that slot. Still, like, we're having conversations over here. And then I say, okay, hey, real quick. I hear you. You're saying that it says credit card only. I've heard you. I appreciate that perspective. I'm asking you, just give it a try. Just see what happens. Just put this VIP card in that slot and let's just see what happens. So then she puts it in the slot. Sure enough, the balance changes from $46 to $0. And then she pulls it out, turns and looks at me. She's like, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was wrong. And then hands me the card back. Now, she doesn't admit that she was wrong because she was wrong. She admits that she is wrong because she doesn't want to hear me say she's wrong. Huh? She admits that she's wrong because she doesn't want to hear me say she's wrong, which is generally an indicator not of a woman who's a bad person, but rather of a woman who grew up without her parents setting appropriate standards, rules, and giving consequences. So they don't want to hear any standards, rules, or experience any consequences, especially not from you, because they never grew up with the proper authority, with a noble authority in life. Further, consider this. Even if she was an unruly person, common sense would tell even an unintelligent person that if this guy is a VIP at this institution, he's probably been here before. Further, if this man has insisted 3 times that you do this one thing of putting the VIP card in the slot, then maybe he knows something I don't know. Maybe he has more experience. And as a man, you're generally older than the woman. You have more experience. You might have more wealth. She should respect these things. Women should be dating up. That's what they do, right? Called hypergamy. They date a guy who's wealthier, which theoretically should mean he should be able to lead her because he has more knowledge. And that's probably how he acquired and maintained the wealth. But no, the unruly nature made her question and question and question, which did what? It made an experience that should have been a 1-minute experience, turned it into a 3-minute experience. And when you're an important man pursuing wealth and big goals, you don't have time to do something at 300% of the time, energy, and emotion that it should take, because she's going to wear you out. That's just a small example of one little thing. Now imagine if there was a real problem occurring, how she would wear you out with it. Now, just side note for any of you who are wondering, why was it labeled credit card when you can put a VIP card in there? Because so few people have VIP cards that it wasn't worth that business labeling, put your VIP card in here, because there's so few VIPs. That's why. Carrying on.
We have Tari said, refreshing here in the femininity of Bridget's tone.
Peace to the saints.
We have Mitch McCauley said, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
And we have Heels In sent a cash app for tuition.
Indeed. Heels In is very consistent. Good to always see Heels In, Mitchell, Tari. Food. This is a critical aspect of the female responsibility. When you have to cover this topic, many of the feminists become unruly, thinking that you're returning them to the kitchen, which they have successfully escaped from. Now we're all eating McDonald's and fast food because feminists told you that cooking is a terrible thing, as though cooking is not the core to your actual survival. Food. The female is ordained to be the provider of good foods, nourishing foods. How do we know? When a child is with the mother in her stomach, he eats from her very body. He eats what she eats. The child does not even have an option to go out to eat. The child is within the woman's body and she must nourish him. She does not have an option not to provide food. It is her definite responsibility. Science indicates that, if you are not a religious person. Now, with regards to food, the woman should provide food every 4 hours. This is a nice rule of thumb. If your man has gone 4 hours without having a proper meal, you should say, "Hey, love, can I get you something to eat? You have to be hungry. I know you must be hungry, thirsty. Let me get you something to eat." And then you should have some sense of what he does and doesn't eat, and you should provide that food. Secondly, in the morning, you should provide a hot breakfast. I recall my grandmother told me, if your wife is providing you with cereal or cold breakfast that you could have done yourself, that's not love. I tend to agree. Number 4.3, carry healthy snacks. Now, this is a pro tip. This is high level. This is if the female's at that high level. One thing that turns me on is I'm out somewhere and I get hungry, a little bit too hungry to wait for that food to come from the restaurant. And she says, "Oh, I got a snack bar here. I got a protein bar for you." Ooh, that turns me on. That is a very attractive thing. So if you're a woman and you arm yourself with one solid snack, you will be appreciated. Those are mother qualities right there. That lets me know you're going to get the job done. Number 5, role, which is to say that the male and female have different roles, just as within a corporation, the CEO, COO, CTO all have different roles that are absolutely critical. And let us value everyone's role. 5.1, grocery store shopping is for the woman. Not to say that the man can't do it, but it is the woman's primary responsibility. 5.2, washing dishes is the woman's primary responsibility, as it is a part of the cooking process. It is the completion of the process. Often you'll find that lazy women will say things like, "Oh, let's split it up. I'll do the cooking. You wash the dishes." No, that's one process, actually, love. And you'll find that women who are clever tend to shape their cooking experience around their dishwashing experience. There's some clever tips and tricks that can make it easier. But one thing I'll assure you of, in the age of a dishwasher, you shouldn't be complaining, you lazy broad. Oh my goodness. Got a dishwasher, you still complaining. How crazy is that?
And you shouldn't even have to put the dishes in the dishwasher as a man.
Talk to him.
We have Scott sent tuition. He said, "Thank you for this fire game." He sent that via PayPal.
Peace to the saints.
And we have Wade said, "Peace to the saints, tuition."
Indeed. Number 6, respect your man's money. I'm not saying you can't spend any. I'm saying respect the money. Respect that he earns it. Just as much as he should respect that you made the bed when he got out of bed. He should respect that you cooked the food, that you cleaned up after the food, meaning you took away his dish after he was finished eating. And that's a critical piece I need to add under the food heading. And while I'm doing that, go ahead and click that like button, because I know there have been some who have just been mesmerized by the game. They didn't click that like button. And to give you a little bit more context, say you're out and it's a holiday. Maybe you're out at your family's home celebrating Thanksgiving and everyone is there. A man should never have to walk to go get his food. He should sit down to dine, and you might come over and say, "Hey, we got stuffing, collard greens, yams, and so on and so forth. What would you like?" And then you go make him a plate and you bring the plate back. When he's finished, you clear off his plate. 9 out of 9, if you guys are really in, you shouldn't even have to ask him what he wants. You go make the plate and bring the plate over. And a man should not complain about this. He should be thankful for what you've brought him.
Okay, we have Ivan said, "I've had a chick look at me crazy when I asked her to cook for me. It blew my mind. I can blow your back out, but making me something to eat afterwards was going too far."
Oh, indeed. And you just reminded me of something when you mentioned blowing her back out is after you blow her back out, she should be kind enough to go ahead and get you a hot towel. Actually, not get you a hot towel, but bring a hot towel and clean you up. So that's a critical piece. And, if you're in Asia, the standards are even better. They might bring you some tea afterward. You heard me? They bring you a hot towel, some tea, might aid you with a massage, the whole nine. Hey, ladies in the West, get your standards up. But you're correct that we're in an age of such loose women and such high levels of promiscuity that they will give out their body freely, but somehow when it comes to their effort and their finances, now they want to hold on to that tightly, which shows that they've misplaced their value and their values, because in reality, money is an infinite source. So why would you be miserly and parsimonious? And not want to share and show love to those who show love to you. But they'll give out their body, although they only have one body. And your body can get miles on it, yet they would give it out thoughtlessly and even brag about that. It's true comedy. As I was saying, respect your man's money, which doesn't necessarily mean that you have to save money. In some cases, it's just not necessary. But I always appreciate women who are thoughtful about expenses and they spend my money the way they would spend their own money. You see, if you ever take a woman out to dinner and she sits down and wants to order all of these things you know she wouldn't order if she was paying the bill, that woman is a piece of garbage. And if you can't teach her, you should go ahead and smash her and dash her. You dig? Smash her, dancer, prancer, Dachshund Dixon.
Okay, we have Matthew Stevenson said, "You never lied. My girl be quick to take that dish away, and absolutely she got to rehydrate you too after with that Fiji."
You dig? That's a woman who has real love in her heart, who, when she feels hungry, she asks you, "Are you hungry?" She feels any inkling of thirst, she asks you, "Are you thirsty? Hey, can I fill up your glass?" That's a real female right there.
They should also cook for you things that you like, not just what they like. Like even like if you're a vegan or vegetarian and your man's not, you should cook him meat dishes. Just because you don't eat it doesn't mean you shouldn't prepare it for him.
Right. Have him out there looking skinny and
My
sick.
grandma's never ate meat. She cooks my grandpa 3 meat meals a day.
Talk about it. Have faith. This is critical because we are in an era where people actually hate faith. And I don't blame you because many of the religions have failed humankind. But have faith. Faith is critically important, especially for a woman. You often hear them say that, "I'm spiritual," which usually means "I'm stupid." That's what that translates to. We find that generally low IQ and belief in horoscope tend to correlate. And they'll say goofy things like, "What's your sign?" "Oh, you're a Leo." "Oh, I don't match with Leos. Leos are like," and then they start telling you idiotic things about the horoscope that they read at some point in life. But when I say have faith, faith is belief in your man. Faith is belief in your relationship going well. Faith is a root of being faithful, that is being loyal to your man. And a part of having faith is showing faith, which is to say that you're his number one cheerleader. You always believe that he can win. And if you don't believe that he can win, you should probably keep that quiet. But also consider getting a man whom you consider a winner or who is winning at a level that you are comfortable with. And one thing I will warn the gentlemen as well as the ladies is that your faith will be tested. And depending on the kind of man you have, it'll be tested in different ways and sometimes more frequently or less. It is easy to be with a winner. And for the winners out there, I would like to warn you men that you might not even truly understand who your woman is yet because you win so much. Well, it's easy to be on the arm of a man who's winning. You know, if I'm with a woman and she goes to all my boxing matches and I always win, she doesn't even know what the experience of losing is like. If I'm with a woman and I drive a nice car, she doesn't know what it's like to get out of a crappy car and have to be in a crappy car and you're there with your man because that's what he drives and you don't care. You don't know what that's like. When you're with a man who's been successful and his life has been doing this, it's easy to be there and to be faithful, but you should still be ready for challenge. I can tell you one highly disappointing story that I had, but it was very educational and it was a good reminder. I had a big goal I was working on, a financial goal, and it looked like I had completely lost and missed the mark. Looked like I had really done something terribly wrong. And the lady I was with was pulling for it with me, and we were together in that struggle. And then it looked like everything had went wrong. And then I saw her start to tear up as though she would cry. And I was very disappointed in as much as I was like, "Oh, you don't have faith. You don't think that I can win. You don't think that I can snatch victory from the jaws of defeat," which is kind of what I specialize in. And further, I was thinking, I've been winning for a long time. If you should be doubting anybody, shouldn't be me. But she was, and I was disappointed. But I also have to remember those tears in your eyes. That's why you're not the leader. I'm the leader. This situation is affecting you, but it's not affecting me because I still feel like I can win. And that's why I'm the leader. Because I'm going to sail this ship, goddammit. I'm going to get us to where we got to get to. And I don't care if there were a couple waves or if a couple people fell off board. We're going to get to where we got to get to. There won't be any tears. There won't be any holding back. We're going to get it done. That's why I'm the leader, because I can do that. I can persist. And when I saw her tearing up, like, oh, we're not going to. It was disappointing, but I had to expect it and accept it because she's the female. They're emotional. She had her faith falter, and their faith will falter. But for the most part, she was a faithful woman. It's a critical trait. But I want the men who are winners to know that you will not truly understand your woman unless she has been there when you weren't winning, or she endured through a time where you took some L's.
Okay, we have Moon Bentley said peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
We have Myron Jr. said easier to retain her with lazy D or good D.
A good woman, it's irrelevant. Thank you for your question.
We have Kevin Mayfield sent $25. He said, peace, king, all that gold. You look like a pharaoh. Keep winning, king.
Peace to the saints. I appreciate those beautiful words. Man has a really saintly nature. It's a particular person who can give a sincere compliment. Yeah. Because most in the society are oriented on the opposite.
Someone else commented on that gold shirt. Is that still in production? Not the gold color necessarily.
The velvet.
Yeah, the velvet.
Drug Hours is on this one. And Chinese New Year is just finishing up. A lot of folks are just getting back into the factory on the 18th. And so he'll be on his way.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that one, Saints. Communication. I've already went through these items. And Saints, if there are any particulars in terms of JWoww, if you'd stop being vulgar in the chat, I'd appreciate it. And if you have video requests, those who can request videos are the top 2 levels of the members. So feel free. Now, in terms of female communication, we said that the female should not speak as a man speaks. How does a man speak? A man speaks in respectful ways. A man should not be vulgar. A man should not raise his voice. He should be an example to her. But remember that when the follower follows the leader, you're sometimes following what they say, but not what they do. Consider this. The CEO leads the corporation and everyone follows him, but that doesn't mean that the secretary is going to do what the CEO does. She will listen to what he says and follow, but she will not emulate. So the female should understand that if the man, for some reason, needs to use vulgarity, which is very rare, that doesn't mean you too should use vulgarity. If the man speaks in colloquial language, doesn't mean you should start doing it as a female. Makes me want to smack a broad in her mouth. She was like, calls me bro. That's a goofball broad, isn't it?
Low class.
Very low class.
We have Myron Jr. said, how to deal with a social girl, one who likes to ask people how their day is and that sort of thing, personal questions, etc.
Those are the worst, to be honest with you. They're a bit annoying, but I'll tell you. Number one, sometimes you find these types of females based on the culture that they've come out of or based on the family. When I say culture, I'm talking about in their locality. Women in the Midwest tend to be more talkative. Women in the South tend to be more talkative and friendly as well. Women from the coast, New York, Los Angeles, they tend to not be as friendly to strangers. Women in Washington and Oregon are more approachable, far more approachable than a chick from LA. So you have to understand that cultural setting that created the woman's personality and also her family. Those may be the driving forces, or it could be a driving force for attention, which is a very dangerous thing. A good woman only wants the attention of her man. But a harlot wants the attention of everyone. She is indiscriminate in whom she seeks attention from. That being the case, if you can't differentiate her, I'd say you probably want to keep her in a minimal position in your life, because that will only create issues for you. So me personally, I don't love a social girl. I love a girl who can socialize, but I don't like a girl who's going out of her way to draw attention to herself. The only time I like her going out of her way to engage people is when she's operating on my behalf for a specific end that I have. So if we're out at a gala and we've already looked at the list of attendees in this gala and we're paying $1,000 per plate to be there, so we have a meaningful reason to be there. And we know there's a bunch of millionaires there that we can do business with. And I've already identified who we need to meet. Well, I would love it if she would go out and meet them or meet their wife and then bring them back to me and introduce me. That would be a beautiful thing. But beyond that, she might want to stay a little bit more low key.
That goes back to your social media video about girls. Those are the same girls posting half naked pictures of themselves on social media.
Indeed. They don't know how to put their clothes on. They don't even care what weather it is. These hoes are immortal out here.
I came back from the store this morning and told you it's 60 degrees. I'm in a parka and there's girls wearing shorts with their butt cheeks hanging out.
It don't matter if it's snowing. They still hoeing. Care.
Yeah. We have stopped playing, and Trey said, hey, Marquette, how do you manage your women when they're not with you?
Well, if they're not with you, there shouldn't be a ton to manage. It depends on if you're talking about from a P's perspective or from a squares perspective. But at the end of the day, they should be operating on remote control, you dig? Which is to say, once you go ahead and give them the program, they got to execute the program. But you don't want to be so clingy to the girl to where she can't breathe. You got to let her leave when it's time to leave. You know, toss them out like a boomerang. If they come back to a P, then it's meant to be.
Okay, we have Rumothy sent $20. He said tuition, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
We have Rob sent $10. He said, big homie, peace to the saints. What's a good way to test your woman's faithfulness if they attach to you in the period of life when you are winning? As you said, it's easy to be all in when you're winning.
Yes, agreed. Make them give you all their money. Make them pay for everything. Carrying on.
I'm caught up.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yes. The reason I say that is because if you're winning, they know that you don't need their money. So if you ask for it, they know it's just because you want it, just because you said so. There's no deep underlying reason. And so if they're not willing to part with that, that lets you know that they're holding on to it because either they don't believe in you, they don't believe in you doing something intelligent with it, or you being a good steward. They're not fully invested in you, or they don't think they're going to stick with you. So they got to hold on to their money because they have to protect themselves. They're all about the self. So it's their money. It's not our money. When a woman signed up for you, it's our money. She'll hand it over to you because it was yours before she even put it in your hands. Because if you asked anything of her, she would have complied. You dig? It looks like there may be a woman. Her name may be Irene, or it could be a male. There's a lot of anonymity on the internet. The individual writes, because you're afraid she might FUCK the CEO and that you know more. You see, this woman is clearly not paying attention because I've already said that the female should not be vulgar. And so it's a real pity to see this kind of behavior. I would be very much so in respect of this woman if she were to present herself for apology to the chat and as well to herself.
Okay, we have Sean sent $20. He said, I have a bro who is in a relationship in which she displays very controlling tendencies and belittles him in public.
Oof.
As big bro, should I get involved? If so, how do I go about having this conversation about this unruly woman?
Generally, you don't want to get involved in the affairs of other men. Full stop. If he wants some ism, give him some ism. If he's not sought any ism, then leave him in that darkness. Not because you're a cruel person, but because when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So those who seek knowledge will find knowledge. But if he's swimming in an ocean of darkness and he's not looking out for a life raft, then clearly he wants to drown. You can't save a hoe and you can't save a simp. You know, sometimes they're related to you. It's unfortunate, but it just is what it is. Anytime a person is suffering someone embarrassing them in public, someone who's supposed to love them, whether it's a family member, a friend, or a spouse, that is something they've subjected themselves to by maintaining a relationship with that person. For you to get involved, you might even do the unexpected thing of weakening your bond with your own brother and speaking against his woman. So you might be wise to stay low key. But, you know, if you're super player and he's observing your moves and he's not learning anything, that's him choosing to live in the way he's currently living.
Hearing your quote, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Do you have your album linked for people to purchase? That is in one of your
yes,
your songs.
Absolutely. That's the name of the song.
Yes.
Yeah. Indeed. In fact, I should start linking the album, huh? That'd be
Yeah.
great. The album's gotten a ton of spins. I actually just got an email recently from Spotify. So if you've not checked out Day One, so that's DAY and then One, the Cipher by The Saint and the Sinner, Apple Music, Spotify, etc. Check it out. Some good music.
I'm going to give you the honor of saying this one.
Bowler alert. Our good brother Charlie Sardi writes, what makes a man in the word of God? That is what I take from your message, Marquette. A man stands on character. Character is the anchor of the man. I came to you originally in help of mending my father and I. You did that and some. Thank you. I really appreciate that heartfelt message from Charlie. Uh, and the saying has such a good heart. There are a number of men I can think of right now who have such good hearts. And I always love to hear from them because you ever know somebody when you're around them, you feel warmer, you feel more connected, you get that feeling of family. Charlie's one of those guys. So I appreciate that kind message. That really does mean a lot.
Okay, Irene came back and she said, okay, I'm sorry, it wasn't specifically, I think she means specifically on you, just in general.
Sure, it doesn't matter who you were addressing, but let us speak with respect, for we're within the SASN right now. We're among the saints, and we should speak in ways that are respectful of others, in ways that are respectable, meaning showing that we respect ourselves. Especially as a female, the vulgarity does not speak well of you. As a man, it doesn't speak well of you. But it would be more egregious for a woman to commit that error. For the female is supposed to be softer. The female is supposed to be kinder, more considerate, thoughtful, better communicator, all those good things.
Okay, we have Myron Jr. I think this is number 3 for him. He said, should I let my woman know about other women who flirt with me in order to keep her on her toes? It happens occasionally, but not often when with her.
No. But you don't want to play games, number one. And then number two, you also don't want to talk too much. If you're that guy, it should be clear. You see, if you really are what you think you are, it should be as clear as day. I mean, when you're doing that, it's almost like you're complimenting yourself. And if she's a clever woman, she'll be able to see what you're doing, and that will only weaken your position. But it would be radically different if you went out with her. Women don't have to flirt with you. I mean, Bridge, you've been out with me a ton of times.
Yes.
Are there any observations you've had of how people interact with me or perceive me when we're out?
They want to talk to you. The women want to be with you.
Now, whatever the case is, whether it's compliments or what have you, I mean, you don't have to speak up on yourself. It should be clear.
Yeah, I mean, you have men compliment your outfits. You have 60-year-old women of every race compliment. Like, you have every age, gender complimenting you.
Right. So I say that to say a compliment from you to yourself doesn't look good. So there we go.
Okay, we have Gideon said, peace to the saints, longevity to the determined.
Indeed.
We have anonymous professor.
It's back.
Another baller alert.
Baller alert.
He said, peace to the saints, prosperity and blessings to you, Marquette, Bridget, and all the saints. Tuition. Brethren, this ism is truly extraordinary and required as modern society erodes.
Yes.
As a man from the mud, you as the teacher arrived, and I as a student is ready. I appreciate you.
Peace to the saints. I'm always thankful to see when folks really understand what we're doing and know that the society is largely lost, but we are the ones that are helping bring it back to the straight path in a way that is easy for people to understand, easy for people to follow if they would choose to. And the most important thing is that we be the example. And not only do we have to soak up the ism and refresh ourselves in it every day, but we also have to share it with our children, with our women. And in being among one another, we have the privilege of reinforcing that culture. So if I'm among the saints and they're living in an upright way and their women are around my women, they're going to reinforce good habits and good thinking. And of course, on the other side, the opposite is true. If you have your woman around females who are harlots, then they're going to engage in poor behavior and they're going to reinforce and encourage one another in poor behavior. So be thoughtful about whom you're around and whom you have your women around and whom you have your children around.
Okay, we have Kamal sent $20. He said tuition, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. Good to see you, Kamal. Kamal be at the conference.
Yeah, he'll
right?
be.
As well as Adam.
Yeah, we have 2 people coming from Sweden.
Yes, indeed. I'm excited.
Okay, we have Johnny Hernandez sent $20. He said, shout out to the big homie. Got the baddie from Honduras last night with some of the pimpin'. Keep spreading the word.
He said some of the pimping.
And I only say these words when I'm reading them on the chat.
Beautiful thing. Glad to hear it. And by the way, what I want you to remember, whether it's business or women, you close a big deal, celebrate because it's critical. And if you follow me on Instagram, and my IG is in the description, Instagram Marquette Devon, there's an infographic that says man's happiness machine, which is to say when you achieve something, do celebrate. It's a critical thing. But also get back to hustling. You did, when you catch one, go catch 2, 3 more. And when you close one big deal, go close 2, 3 more. Let it reinforce your further productivity. Let it not cause you to retreat into rest and stay there. Rest and then get back to hustling. It's hustle mania out here.
Okay, we have Myron. I think this is number 4.
Let's get it.
He said, thank you for the responses so far, Saint. What about if she mentions men flirting with her? She mentioned squares doing stuff for her. Should I be watchful?
Yes, you absolutely should. Number one, sometimes a female will mention these things to try to create jealousy in the male. This is often an indication of a female who is very much so manipulative, and that is not a good thing. In other cases, she might just be merely informing you or speaking to what occurred in her day, which is fine. Women are talkative, and you certainly should want to know what has occurred in her day. And you want to know what players are on the chessboard. You want to know what's going on with her. So the more she is talkative, you should listen and take the information to heart. When she mentions squares doing things for her, from a P's perspective, if you're going to be dealing with dudes, I'm going to need you to bring something back to daddy. You dig? So if they did something for you, you need to do something for me. You dig? Sock it to me. So she needs to make sure that she's paying homage to a boss. But if she's just playing with squares and there's no ends involved, you might need to give her those walking papers. But yes, absolutely keep an eye on her. You always got to keep one eye open like CBS. Carrying on.
Okay, we have Marco said, peace to the saints. I had to rewind this one from the beginning. I already started applying some of the rules on my household a few minutes ago.
Peace to the saints. And shout out to Marcos. Things are going swimmingly for him in romance and business. And, I hear about him upgrading his life all the time. And I have the privilege to hear about that in our consultations. And, he actually had inspired me to do a list of critical things to be ready for when moving in with a female. And that's really something a lot of folks don't think about. So shout out to Marcos for that one. And the members should have access to that.
Okay, we have Neil Fani said tuition and peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. Had the pleasure of meeting Neil Fani at the conference.
We have Billy Bob said, I know it's part of the game, but tired of women coming and going. I'm starting to have trust issues.
You got to tighten up, family, because they come going. You heard me? They coming in the front door, already looking for the back door. But I can assure you that if you find higher quality women, it'll be a little harder to catch them, but you'll retain them more easily. Women tend to put up their fight up front. So once you go ahead and get them, then they'll want to stick around. But in terms of trust issues, you just need to be able to deal with the world as it is and get in control of your emotions. And you have to be able to temper your disappointment with expectation. So you've had enough experience, and there are likelihoods of certain things happening. So have the advantage that this won't catch you off guard.
Okay, we have Diedrich Smith sent a Cash App. He said, can't wait to meet you again at the conference.
Oh, he's coming back.
He's coming back.
Twins.
They're both coming back.
That's what's up. Shout out to the saints who come back again and again and are part of this community, because you cannot have community on the internet. You have community face to face. You cannot have community without consistency. It's good to be familiar with each other, to grow up together as men, to have your families know each other. This is what it's really about. So I'm excited to see the twins again. And
I think Marcos will be back for the 3rd time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know, huh? Yeah. Let's go. And these are things I really enjoy in my life. Like, for example, there's a gala that I go to every year. And when COVID hit and the gala didn't happen, I was really disappointed. I felt like something was missing. And that's the kind of feeling that, we're creating here, is where you have like this home base that you can come back to. So peace to the saints who are really a part of this thing. You dig? The saints that create the SASN.
Okay, we have Matthew Stevenson said, how do I stop being an extremist? It's either I'm being extremely action focused or lost in thought. It's either eating clean, fasting, or junk food.
Well, if you know your nature, then now your job is to manage your nature. And if you know that you're an extremist, what you have to do is make sure that you're extreme on the good side of things. That's pretty much all there is. If you do not believe that you can reconstitute yourself from a nature perspective or from a habits perspective, then you have to utilize the nature that you're aware of aimed at the right outcome.
Okay, we have Stop Playing Trey came back with another super chat. He said, is it smart to build credit or should I focus solely on building wealth?
You should focus on them in parallel, but always cash over credit. You dig? Because credit's all cool, but cash can spend anywhere. For example, if I wanted to fly over to Cape Town and purchase a home, if I showed up in Cape Town and I have A1 credit in America, that's not going to transfer over. But if I show up in Cape Town with $1 million US, oh, they're gonna respect that and we can get some deals done. You dig?
We might have to do that. I'm caught up.
Fantastic. Saints, I'll give you a little bit of time to send in your thoughts, questions, comments as we wind down.
We have London Realist said, are you and Larry June cut from the same cloth? Peace to the saints.
Peace to the Saints. We may be. It seems like it. I actually just recently saw a performance on YouTube, and I saw that Larry June was not wearing the skinny jeans that cats wear today. He was just still wearing what he wants to wear, and I had to appreciate that because so often people go with what's popular. So it seems as though he's standing on his own 10, not trying to be carried by others or carried away by the society. He got that old school pimping in him. You dig? You could tell his old heads taught him right. Well, Saints, it's been truly a pleasure to fellowship with you. I encourage you to share this video, for this knowledge is not only for us, but it is for the world. We are establishing global standards, universal principles that work and should be applied everywhere because they make good sense. Let us end this the way we always end with our tradition, the creed of the SASN. Repeat after me wherever you are, knowing this is true of you. The creed of the SASN. I am going to be who I truly am because I am remarkable. And I'm going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Until next time, peace of the saints.